Experts with Federal Injury Centers. Welcome to Wednesday night OWCP Chats. Jeannie's not with me tonight. Unfortunately, she had to go back to Florida, and I'm back in Texas. But, wow, let me give you a rundown of what's happened in the last week. So last week we were on live in Alabama in Birmingham. We spent the week with AFGE District 5 and had a really great training session over a 3-day period. With the stewards there and some of the presidents. It was a really great thing. I think we have like an army of OWCP experts now with AFGE throughout Alabama. So that was really spectacular. We did the live video at Dr. Harper's office in Bessemer. And then we made it over to Atlanta and had a nice meeting with the president of the Mail Handlers Union. And I think we're going to be able to help some folks out there. We had about a day and a half off in Florida, recharged, hit the beach for a little while, and then flew to DC, met with Mr. Kelly at the AFGE office in DC. We were really super happy to see him. We love Mr. Kelly. And then from there, went to Indianapolis and met with the MVP of District 6. And so that was a nice meeting. Hopefully we can help them there. And then we saw Dr. Terry Toll, which was a nice ending to the whole thing. It was a real treat. So now here I am back in Texas, and I don't know what day it is. I know I'm in Texas because I look around and I see where I'm at. But what a deal. It's really great teaching everyone. It's good to be back on tonight. So we've got some topics tonight that we were requested to go over. I'm going to talk to you about how to handle denied or closed claims. There's a misconception that when a claim is denied or closed, that it's the end of the world. So I'm going to tell you how it's not the end of the world. So definitely hang in there. We're also going to talk about recurrences of injuries using a CA2A, when to file a recurrence and when not to, and how to know the difference. And then I'm going to end with, honestly, my least favorite topic, federal disability. But there's been a lot of people asking about it. And in fact, I had a comment that was made to me in this last week about how federal disability is a good thing and people know how to do it. So I'll give you the information. You decide for yourself if it's a good thing. Jeannie's going to be on here answering questions. Here and there, I'll stop and I'll read some of the questions and answer them for you as well. So we'll try to catch everybody. At the end of this, any questions that are remaining, we'll do our best to answer them throughout the night and tomorrow. So let's start with how to handle denied claims. So 1 out of 19 people in 2018, federal employees had an accepted claim. Everyone else had denied claims or claims that they didn't even attempt, right? And so number one, attempt your claims. File your CA1s and 2s. Don't avoid that. Don't willingly give up your benefits. File your claims. But let's say you get a denied claim. What do you do? So every denial comes with a letter in the mail to you. Department of Labor mails letters to the patient when a claim is denied. And the letter will tell you why it was denied so that your doctor can fix it. And you definitely should. So always take your denial letters to your doctor. But the last page of all denial packets, and it's a packet because it's multiple pages, the last page is a form called an appeal request form. Okay, appeal request form. So you've got to decide which method of appeal you want to do. Some of your coworkers are going to say, well, you have to appeal it. Appeal doesn't mean anything. All right, don't let anybody say appeal it. There are multiple ways to appeal it, but you're going to learn through this video that there's only one good way to appeal it, okay? So you have options. It says you can do an oral hearing. All right, what's an oral hearing? Well, we're going to go in and orally discuss what they've already read in their decision to deny the claim. So what a waste of time. You can do a review of the written record. Great. The written record includes everything they use to deny the claim. So we're going to not do that one either. You can do an ECAB. Just don't. I mean, save that for the very, very end. And the very end is after, if necessary, multiple reconsiderations. So if you look at your appeal request form, you'll see that the reconsideration says 2 things. 1, that you have 12 months from the denial to appeal if you file reconsideration. And 2, that in reconsideration, they will consider new information. The other ones don't say that. So You have 12 months from each denial to appeal and do a reconsideration. So that lets you know that a denial is not the end of the world. Okay, it can be the beginning. You're going to get denials. Denials are, gosh, they're all too common. But none of them are the end. Generally, a denial is nothing more than a request for more information. It's the claims examiner saying, there are five basic parts of an accepted claim, and you're missing one of them or two of them. And then they tell you which ones and how to fix it. So read your denial letter, take the denial letter to the doctor, and tell them, circle the paragraph that says specifically your claim is denied because, and say, look, we have to fix this. It's really important. And then when they do that, they send in their updated narrative report. That's the new information they use for reconsideration. And your claims examiner reconsiders it. But now you have two responsibilities as a patient. The doctor's got to write the new information and send it in. Okay, that's the new stuff they're going to reconsider. But you've got to send in that appeal request form and select reconsideration. Reconsideration. And then oftentimes they'll ask you for some statement as to why you're reconsidering it. And so if they ask you for that, let them know. I want reconsideration because I want you to consider new information from my physician. And that's why you want it. And then send that in. You can send that in by eComp. You can go to Google and search OWCP eComp, ECOMP, OWCP eComp. And then you just scroll down to access case and upload document. And you can upload your appeal request form and your statement right there from your own computer at home. And your doctor will eComp his or her information as well. But that's how a denial is handled. It's not handled by panicking, by throwing your hands up and giving up. Don't get angry at somebody. I mean, look, denials happen. Being angry is not a solution, any more than hoping for the best is a solution. The solution is to read the denial letter, address the denial issue, fix it, send it in. Now, let's say they denied again. What do? Right, exactly, another reconsideration. Because whatever they denied and gave you the reason for denial again. So if you have a second denial, which happens all the time, they'll say specifically it's denied because of this. You send that back to your doctor and say, okay, now we got to handle this. Then take the old narrative report and attach the new stuff to it. So they can't deny it for the old stuff again. And you just keep fixing it until they run out of reasons to deny you. Just keep fixing it. Keep reading the letter, keep reconsidering, keep having the doctor update the narrative report, keep sending it back in. Eventually, you're going to get your claim accepted. There's only two reasons a claim won't get accepted. One, it's not timely filed, and two, it's not a legitimate claim, meaning it's not an actual work injury. But, what does timely filing mean? I'm going to get a little off topic on this, but it's important. When we were in Alabama, I said, so what happens if you miss your 30-day filing deadline? All right, so look, everybody, there is no such thing. Don't let anybody tell you that. You have a 3-year filing deadline, okay? 3 years, not 30 days. So you can probably meet your 3-year deadline. That's what I mean by timely filed, that it's filed within that 3-year window, okay? And then legitimate just means it's an actual work injury. So, don't try to say that, what you did at home to get hurt or on the weekend or on vacation was a work injury. That's not a good deal. And filing a fraudulent or false claim can put you in a lot of trouble, heavy fines and including jail time. So don't bother with that. Just keep your claims legitimate. Unfortunately, that's really what we see. I've never seen anybody that I can think of that lied. So thankfully, don't ever let that be you. So you have a 3-year window to get your claim reported to the supervisor and filed. And then every denial can come with a reconsideration and you can fix it. They always tell you why it's denied. And unless you give up, you can always go back and try again. So always try again. So that's denied claims. What about closed claims? Oh man, not a closed claim. Well, look, a closed claim happens generally due to lack of activity in the claim, meaning you don't seek help. You don't seek medical attention. And so Department of Labor doesn't receive bills from doctors. And so if it doesn't hit $1,500, they'll say, all right, nothing's happening here, and they'll close the claim. No big deal. as soon as the claim meets $1,500, in other words, the doctors start billing stuff because you go in for care, then at that point, the claim will automatically reopen. Listen to what I'm saying. Once it hits $1,500, if it was closed because it didn't hit it, it hits it, it will automatically open. Don't freak out, okay? The claim will open. Now, if your claim is closed because it's been a long time since you received care, then that can be reopened too. Once your claim is open and accepted, you have lifetime medical benefits, meaning if anything ever comes up in the future, you can get help for it, and there's a way to do it. So don't freak out on closed claims. Let's just find out why it's closed. You call your claims examiner and ask, why did my claim get closed? They'll tell you, and then address the situation. Whatever it is, there's almost nothing I can think of that can cause your claim to not get reopened if it was a legitimate claim that was timely filed and accepted, okay? So don't freak out about it. Don't freak out about denied claims or closed claims. They're all fixable. Everything is fixable. So before I move on to the next topic, let's look at some questions. I know there's probably some stuff coming in. Got a hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Hello, everyone. Share, already shared. Melissa said you're denied twice. Go again a third time, Melissa. Read your denial letter, take it to the doctor, address the reason for denial, okay? Address it in the original narrative report. Have them write an addendum to the narrative and send the whole thing in. Yeah, Jerry, I'm on a little bit early tonight. I got a thing I got to handle 30 minutes before we normally end, so I didn't want to miss out on the full hour like I did last time. Glad everyone's here. You have Eric helping you. Yeah, it's a good deal. Melissa, definitely give us a holler. Jeannie gave you the number. Okay, so before I move on, I see there's really no questions yet, which is fine, but if you've got some, bring them. I started out talking about how to handle denied and closed claims. Thing number one, don't freak out. Number two, file a reconsideration using your appeal request form. Read the denial letter, find the reason, talk to your doctor, and specifically address your denial reason. If the claim was closed, no big deal. Find out why it was closed, and let's get it reopened. So, but before I move on to the next topic, let me tell everybody to share this video, share it with all of your coworkers. Just share it right onto your Facebook page. I'm sure that you're friends with some of your coworkers on Facebook. I hope so. I hope you have friends at work. Also, like our page, Wednesday night OWCP chats and Federal Injury Centers. If anybody's had a good experience, please leave us a review. We really appreciate that. Let everyone else know what's going on there. And then I want you to go to Twitter. So when I first started talking about Twitter, I had like 61 followers. Now there are 106. I don't know why there are not 200 already. So go to Twitter and get Twitter and follow me at Fed Injury Center, at the @ Fed Injury Center. It's not a waste of your time. I don't recommend following anyone else. It's also not a black hole like Facebook. You don't get stuck in your news feed and, you can't get out of it. And so follow me on Twitter. When I have something really valuable for you, I'm going to post it there. It's quick, it's easy, and it's useful. Okay. And you'll use it with your coworkers. So follow me on Twitter at Fed Injury Center. There's no excuse not to. Twitter is kind of dumb. I agree, but it's not in this case. All right. You need to follow it because I'm putting good information there that you're not going to find anywhere else. Nowhere else. I guarantee you, none of the people that you know that train OWCP and your unions are teaching you this stuff. You're not getting it anywhere else. I'm happy to give it to you, but you got to get on there so I have a place to share it with. Okay. So at Fed Injury Center on Twitter. All right. So next topic, next issue, CA2A recurrence. So a CA2A is a form that's called Notice of Recurrence. If your claim was closed and you were all better, and then down the road you're not better anymore, you may have a reason to file a recurrence. Maybe your condition came back, okay? But maybe it didn't, and that's the issue. So if it did, how do you know for sure? I use the knee as an example. The knee has 4 ligaments, 2 bones, tendons, muscles, and cartilage, right? Well, okay, so as a young guy, I tore my ACL on both knees. Well, the ACL and the PCL cross each other in the knee, okay? If I hurt it again, how would I know it wasn't the PCL? I don't know. I don't have x-ray vision, right? So you don't just assume automatically that it's a recurrence, because maybe it's not. And maybe the back pain you're feeling is at a different spinal level. How do you know? So before you go right into recurrence, go to the doctor and find out what's going on. Because if it's new, then instead of filing a recurrence, you file a new injury on either a CA1 or a CA2. So number one is don't automatically go to a CA2A, all right? Don't assume that you medically know what's going on with you. You're not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. Go to a doctor and find out. Also, don't let your coworkers and supervisors tell you to automatically fill out a 2A. Maybe you have to, but the key is filling it out properly. You want to use the correct form every time. And so don't assume it's a recurrence. But if it is a recurrence, you fill out the CA2A, you turn that into the supervisor, they give it to DOL, and the doctor will turn in a narrative report, just like it's a brand new claim, explaining why this is a recurrence. They'll reopen the case and you'll get treated again as, however you need so you can get better. But if it's not a recurrence, then you've got to fill out a CA1 or a 2. Now, a CA1 is if you were injured in a single shift. Okay. A CA2 is if your condition is developed over 2 or more shifts, 2 or more weeks, months, years. So if it's one of those, fill those out. Your doctor writes a narrative for that condition and they meet each other at DOL, and that's how your claim gets accepted. So just don't automatically assume that it's a recurrence, because that could really bite you. And from what I've heard and what I've seen, like 40% of these CA2As are just denied. And, we're talking about what to do with denials. Well, let's also not just give ourselves reason to have more denials. So try to avoid the 2A by going to the doctor and making sure that it's not a new condition. So moving on to questions. Does the postmaster have anything to do with a denial? So let me tell you how they have something to do with a denial. A postmaster or a supervisor, an HR person, injury comp, the workers' comp division of your agency, they can, on a CA1 claim, on the second page, there are 4 places that they can write something on there that could really give you some problems, okay? They ask the supervisor, did this happen in performance of duty? You need to check it and make sure that the supervisor said yes, performance of duty. If they said no, you want to be able to talk to the supervisor or the postmaster and question that. If the supervisor or postmaster or HR says, the question is, was this due to willful misconduct? Wouldn't you like to know if they say yes? Was it due to intoxication? Was it due to intent to injure themselves or another? So you need to know that. The other question they have on the second page is, does your knowledge of the facts of the case agree with the statement of the employee or the witness? You need to see this stuff. So, this is what we teach. Sit there in front of your supervisor or postmaster or whomever is filling this thing out, and then get a copy of the whole thing as is the law, and then read it, and then discuss it with them if they write something on there that could be detrimental to your case. So does a postmaster have anything to do with a denial? Yes, if they do that stuff. With that said, if they don't do those things, then the denial is all about the medical report. Almost all denials are due to doctors writing bad narrative reports. Almost none of them are due to postmasters getting the claim denied, okay? The responsibility of the agency, meaning the postmaster, the supervisor, HR, and so forth, is to fill out the forms, give you copies of the forms, and send the forms into DOL. And then for all of you supervisors that may be watching right now, the next thing you do is to get the heck out of the way, because what comes next is none of your business. Okay, you're not involved in adjudication of the claim. You're not involved in, writing a treatment plan or even having an opinion about one. And you're not involved in sending people to a doctor. Your only involvement is filling out the form and turning it in. Now, fill it out correct. Don't put knowingly willful false statements on there, because you can be fined and go to jail. Now, if you don't have anything to do for the next, 5 years or so, knock yourself out. But we're teaching people what to do when you do this, and it's not going to be good in the future. So no, a postmaster really can't cause denials. unless you allow them to write something false on the second page of your CA1 form and you don't do something about it. Let's see. Brenda, third try getting my CA2 submitted by postmaster. All right, so here's the deal, Brenda. If you're on my Twitter page, you'd be able to see this law, okay, at Fed Injury Center. These are not shameless attempts to get you to follow. Seriously, you need to follow. This is some good stuff there. But the postmaster has 10 days from the day you submit, or the supervisor or HR, whatever. They have 10 days from the day you turn in your CA2 or CA1 to get that into DOL. If they did not turn it in, you need to file a grievance, like right away. You need to contact OSHA at 1-800-321-OSHA. And you need to ask, is this a violation that my supervisor is preventing me from getting my claim filed with Department of Labor? Okay, because I think it's a safety issue if you're injured or you have a problem and you're not able to get help. So don't let that happen. I'm glad they finally sent it in, but trying to get it submitted by the postmaster, the law says they have 10 days. You shouldn't have to try. All you have to do is just turn it in. And Thomas, you said you don't understand Twitter. Man, join the club. Neither did I, but it turns out it's not that hard. Just search at Fed Injury Center, follow it, and it's not a big deal. You just read the stuff that I put there. It's super easy. All right, so Scott was just told that due to the severity of the injury that he shouldn't carry mail for 2 months. And instead it was caused by carrying the mail. Well, that's a good start. I hope your doctor is able to put that into a detailed narrative report and explain why carrying the mail caused those conditions, not just that you have the condition and also you're a carrier. They've got to be able to connect the dots. So make sure that happens. And listen, everybody, read your doctor's narrative reports before they go in. It's your records. So I recommend seeing what they're writing before it goes to DOL. You know, somebody the other day sent me a report that was 1 paragraph long. It's like that big. And I said, where's the rest of this thing? That was it. Believe me, there's a denial coming. So you have a right to look at this stuff. And nobody will advocate for you as well as you will. Not even me. Okay, you care more about you than anybody. So don't let a bad report go in. Scott, it looks like you've got things under control, though. I hope that works out for you. Let's see. Yeah, post office employees have a 3-day waiting period to collect COP. That's by rule, 100% true. If off 2 weeks, that time goes to COP. Is that 2 weeks cumulative? Every day, COP is 45 days. COP, by the way, stands for continuation of pay. If you have a CA1 claim that you report on time within 30 days, then you are eligible for COP. So in box 15 of your CA1, you can select COP, continuation of pay. You get 45 days, not consecutive, okay? So if you happen to take 2 weeks off in a row, then that's, two weeks out of your 45 days. But if you take 10 days, say, over a 30-day period, that's only 10 days, okay? It's not consecutive days, it's calendar days. So if you're only off 5 days, then that's 5 COP days. Even if those are half days, by the way, a half day counts as a full COP day. So if you're going to take it, take it. Scott, you never went to postal doctors. That's probably good. If you're having trouble figuring out which doctor to select, give us a holler, and we'll help you with that. Rhonda's having a hard time getting the doctor to fill out paperwork. Denied because nurse practitioner. I'm going to stop there. You're denied because nurse practitioners can't sign anything. They gave you an incomplete file and they denied because of nurse practitioners. Okay, you said it. So look, anybody that sees a nurse practitioner, that's fine, but their supervising medical doctor, their supervising physician has got to countersign the reports. They got to countersign everything. Don't let nurse practitioners sign your stuff and send it in. That's a denial. And the denial letter will say denied because it was done by a nurse practitioner. It doesn't matter. If the doctor goes back and signs that and they send the exact report in, they may approve it. But just because it was nurse practitioner only, they deny it. And if you're having a hard time getting your doctor to fill out paperwork, find a new doctor. These guys and ladies, look, doctors, you got to do your job. I'm sorry if it's a hassle, but you got it. just take care of this. Veronica, when I tried going back full time, I kept physical therapy aftercare 2 times a week. I only lasted 12 to 13 days before going off. My case was considered open. I wasn't asked to file a 2A. Do I need to fill one out? Absolutely not. No. You're fine. You only have to fill out a 2A when they say that, you know, something changed. If they tell you to fill one out, that's how you know. But otherwise, you can just go back to the doctor and treat using the existing claim. So that's good work on your part, Veronica. Let's see. If cases are closed, you're retired, but you continue to have back issues, can you reopen even though you've retired? Yes, you can, but you're not going to be able to say it's a recurrence like it came back due to work. You're going to have to call the claims examiner and say, I'm having, you know, symptoms again, and I need to get therapy. Also, your doctor can request pre-authorization using your old claim number, and generally, with a good pre-auth request by the doctor, they'll let you have therapy. Yep. Gina, you saw Dr. Toll. He's the man. All the way, 100%. All right, so let me deal with OPM disability. So far we've talked about how to handle denied and closed claims, okay? Do a reconsideration. Skip all that other nonsense. It's all a waste of time. Reconsideration, okay? Closed claims, don't panic. Find out why it's closed. Let's get it reopened. Oftentimes, if a injury claim does not hit $1,500 in medical bills, they'll just automatically close it, okay? If a case is inactive, meaning you just stopped going to the doctor, they're going to close it. So you should follow doctor's orders. But if it's closed, you can get it reopened. And oftentimes you get it reopened using a CA2A if there's a recurrence. You may just get it reopened by letting your bill hit $1,500 because you start following doctor's orders, and then it'll automatically open, no problem. So anyways, then we talked about a 2A, CA2A, a notice of recurrence. Here's what we said. It may not be. If it's not a recurrence, then file a new claim. But you don't know because you're not, a medical professional. So go to the doctor and make sure it's the same injury, the same condition. If it's new at all, then it's a new claim, and you need to file a new one and start the process over. So now let's talk about federal disability. You'll see on here it says OPM, federal disability, and that's because disability is through the Office of Personnel Management. This is not an OWCP thing. You don't have to be hurt at work to qualify for federal disability. You just have to be a federal employee when the disabling condition happens. You could be on vacation. You could be out deep sea fishing. You could be in a car accident on the weekend. You could develop, a critical illness like cancer, or you could, you could start going blind. You could get MS. There's so many things that could happen that could cause you to have to be disabled from your federal job. It does not require it to be a work injury. So let's let that be clear. Any disabling condition while you're a federal employee, not because of federal employment, can qualify you for federal disability. But what we see all the time is people that are considering it because of their injury, which is really sad to me. If you are hurt at work and you're considering disability, it makes me think something went badly wrong sometime before this. Your claim wasn't accepted. You didn't attempt to get it accepted. You didn't attempt to report it. The doctor didn't help you. So many things can happen, but to me, most of the time with musculoskeletal conditions, which so many injuries are, disability is completely avoidable. You just need to get the right kind of help. Physical therapy, surgery, injections, a correct diagnosis. But most importantly, a good narrative report that gets your claim accepted so you can get help without having to pay money out of your pocket, without having to use your own sick and annual leave, which runs out. And then, you're deciding, do I stay home and potentially get fired, or do I go to work and work through the pain? So, we don't want you to do either one of those things. We want you to get your claim accepted. Don't use your own sick and annual leave. Don't use your own money. And if you have to be out of work, it's due to doctor's orders, and hopefully you can go back to work little by little with restrictions. Now, when you're able to do those things, you can avoid federal disability. And why do I think that's a good thing? Because by year 2, federal disability pays you 40% of your income. In year one, it pays 60%, but by year two, it's 40, and it's 40% every year thereafter until you retire, hit retirement age. So, federal disability is not a good deal. It's just not. And we have supervisors that are saying, oh, just file for disability. Well, no, absolutely not. That's not a solution. And don't let your supervisors tell you that. They don't have any experience with this. How do they know that you should be on disability? How do they know you can't get better? That's just really not fair. And but let me tell you about disability anyway. So let's say you have to anyways. So what it's saying, disability, federal OPM disability says you're disabled from that job. Okay, if you're a letter carrier, you're disabled from being a carrier. It doesn't mean you can't be a clerk. Okay, it doesn't mean you can't leave the federal world and go work at Subway. It doesn't mean you can't work at Walmart. It doesn't mean you can't go back to school, learn a new trade, and become a CPA. Okay, you can do anything else. It means you can't carry the mail. If you're a VA nurse, it means you can't be a VA nurse anymore. All right. It just means that you're disabled from that job, not from all jobs. It doesn't mean you're totally disabled. It means you can't do that. So let's let that be clear first. It's not the same thing as being totally disabled. It just means you're totally disabled from that job. But here's the deal. While you're collecting that 60% and 40%, if you go out and get a non-federal job, you can also make up to 80% of your previous income at the non-federal job at the same time. So you can get that 80% plus the 40% at the same time. So now it's looking a little better, except you got hired on it for your federal job because you wanted to do that. You probably wanted to retire there, and they had great benefits. So it's still not all the way good because that wasn't in your plan. You're not planning on getting hurt, and you didn't plan on going on disability. So, we all need to spread the word about how to get a claim accepted, how to get help with an OWCP claim so that work injuries don't lead to disability. Because in my opinion, that's the ultimate disaster of a work injury if it leads to disability. So we have to avoid that. But how do you do it? If you decide to, you have to apply for Social Security. You don't have to get Social Security, but they have to see that you apply for it. And then you've got to file with OPM, let them know your intent to file for disability. You need a medical doctor to write a narrative report that explains the disabling condition and how, as a result, you can't do that job anymore. A really great narrative report. And that doctor has got to read all of your, or at least review all of your medical records. He's got to do a thorough evaluation with you, and has got to write a great narrative report, just like a great narrative report is needed to get a claim accepted for OWCP. And so they have to do those things. Those things go to, they're handed to you, and you take it to OPM and you file. So that's how disability works. But I sure hope that we can avoid disability because I think it's a disaster. To me, it's tragedy. So some more questions here. When you have a recurring injury and the doctor says you can return to work on light duty and the supervisor says they have no work, do they have to fax that form to workers' comp? Well, they definitely need to give it to you in writing. If they say, I don't have any work for you, they need to give that to you in writing because you're going to now go home and you're going to get paid using a CA7 claim for compensation. You're going to need that statement in writing to attach to your CA7 and get paid. They need to notify DOL that they're not going to offer you a position because the rule is they're supposed to. But whether they do or don't, believe me when I tell you, as long as Department of Labor is paying you on CA7s, they're going to figure out that you're not working and they're going to intervene. Thank you, Gini. You're really saying nice things about me. Everyone just read that really good. Let's see. I don't know. She's being goofy here now. Who can you talk to that's over your claims examiner? That's a good one, Lynn. So the claims examiner has a supervisor, and then the supervisor has a district rep. And that's who you talk to. You ask for the supervisor. And then you call and ask for the district representative there because you need to be able to get help if your claims examiner is ignoring you. And that happens a lot. Rhonda, anyone in Arizona you can go see. I trained, Gini told you, a great doctor, Dr. Heaton in Tucson. And he's spectacular. He will just keep going and keep going and keep going. He gets claims accepted. There's no doctor in Michigan. Sorry, but you can travel down to Indiana, Marcia. I know it's a hike, but it's better than a denied claim. So Donald says his recurrence was accepted, but compensation was denied over not enough proof that it was from the same injury. So Donald, he says he can't hear, so that's terrible. We'll get back to him on that, but the answer is the doctor didn't write a good enough narrative explaining it. I hope you get your sound fixed, Donald. Sorry, you're missing out. Let's see here. Do we know any doctors in Houston? So Gini answered that. Dr. On is great. Look, I don't train doctors that aren't great, so it just goes without saying. If I train a doctor, they're getting claims accepted. We have a motto that denied claims are for other doctors. If you want to get involved with me and you want to learn how to do this, we don't do denied claims. And look, what I mean is ultimately your claims need to get accepted. Denials happen. There's nothing I can do to prevent a claims examiner from, I don't know, overlooking great causation when, reviewing a narrative report or just making a bad decision. But we definitely all know how to fix denials. And so what I mean is no more denied claims, meaning when they come back denied, fix it. Never stop until it's all fixed. Phyllis had the same injury as Donald before. My recurrence was accepted, but compensation was there. They said there wasn't enough proof that this is from the same injury. So Phyllis, the issue is the doctor didn't write a good enough narrative explaining it. The only thing that can be done is the doctor's got to do a better job medically explaining how it's a recurrence, how it's from the same injury. That's really important. Can I get a schedule award if my claim was 20 years ago? Can I file for my schedule award? Ron, you need to call your claims examiner and say, I never got a schedule award, but I want one, and have them open the case up and pre-authorize a doctor doing that for you. It's your right to have that, so just talk to your claims examiner. Nikki, my postmaster said his boss said he didn't have to give me any light duty. The postmaster's boss, I think, is a postmaster general rules. You need to talk to your union. So this is where I say, if you're not getting involved with your union, you're missing out. Okay, you're making a mistake. You need to be involved with your union. You need to know who your union reps are, who your stewards are, who your president is, who your district reps are, who your MVPs are, who your MBAs are. You need to know who your union people are. You need to be involved with your union. When something bad happens to you, your first call should be to the union. Your first call should be to, whatever steward you're familiar with to push back. When something bad happens, you can't just take it. And lots of people ask, well, what do I do? Well, did you talk to your union? Have you filed a grievance? Today, I was talking to one of our favorite presidents in Florida, Natasha, and somebody, denied or declined a limited duty job offer without talking to the union first. That's a mistake. Okay, your first call should be to your union. You got to get involved. Not enough people get involved. I go to meetings and 10% of the membership is at a meeting. And I talk to people and they don't know who their stewards are or who their president is. And it blows my mind. You're paying dues for a reason, and the power is in the union. Okay, they're there to represent you. So you got to get involved. Everyone get involved. You got to get involved with your unions. Maria, any doctors in San Diego? I'm really sorry to tell you, but I can't find a single doctor in California. Shocking to me too. We're working on it though. So Stevie, you were saying that you're requesting some equipment so that you can do your job a little easier after your injury. You need to make sure you're getting with your union. Maybe consider filing an EEO because it may not be fair. You might want to ask, is this a violation? And make someone do something about it. Veronica says she never speaks to the claim examiner. He never calls back. So call every day, leave a message every day, talk to the supervisor. Call your congressperson. Tell them that, if your district office isn't being responsive. I definitely recommend doing that. It actually can work. So Lynn, you said you need to sue now. Unfortunately, you can't sue your agency. It's really frustrating that you can't. But give Eric Blowers a call and let's see if he can give you some solutions. He's a lawyer, if you don't know that already. Yeah, Letty, follow Gini on that one. Dr. Patron is the man. Veronica, you want me to train your doctor's office in Brighton, Michigan? That's funny. I'd be happy to talk to your doctor if he's interested. Get him in touch with us. A lot of doctors don't want to because, it's not free. We're a consultant to the doctor and they have to pay for that. And that's how I'm able to do all this stuff for free. So it's actually a really good deal. The way we make a living is by training doctors so that we can train you for free. But I'd sure love to talk to Dr. Lee or anybody else. Ron, thanks for watching every week. Erica, how often can you request a schedule award? So that sounds like a trick question, but honestly, that's more than once is the answer, because you get a schedule award when the doctor puts you at maximum medical improvement. You're at MMI, but later on, maybe you get reevaluated and you realize your condition got worse. So you can actually get it updated. Corby, sorry, I don't know Dr. Butler in Houston, but as you know, Texas is a really big place. Brenda, can I file a CA2 due to the limitations from a traumatic injury? If your situation is due to a traumatic injury, you don't need to. All of your limitations are due to a CA1. If you have some new things happening that are not related to the original traumatic injury, then you can potentially file a CA2. But it's either a CA1 or a 2. There's never a case that's both. I hope that answered your question. Federal Injury Centers of Kentucky is coming soon. We're looking at Louisville. We got friends there. We know that the unions are in our corner and want our help. And so that's something definitely we're working on. Also Huntsville, Alabama. Let's see. All right, so Stevie, the doc is fairly certain as of February that you have carpal tunnel. You have a CA2 on your shoulder. Do you need to file a new CA2 for the carpal tunnel? Yes. And it's okay to have multiple claims going at the same time. So definitely, carpal tunnel is I can't think of any way it's related to the shoulder. If it is, then you can attach it to the shoulder claim. But most likely it's its own new condition. So file a CA2. And you have 3 years from the date that you knew it was work-related to file a CA2. 3 years from the date you knew it was work-related. So don't delay. Lynn, Jeannie will get you Eric's number if she hasn't done that already. And Stevie, thank you for the compliment. We really appreciate it. We're working really, really hard to help you folks. Getting to the end here. When the supervisor is trying to have you work extra time when you have hour restriction just because they're short on staff, what should you do? File a grievance, and then file a grievance, and then file a grievance. Okay? File a grievance. If they're not following your CA17 restrictions, file a grievance. Also, I want you to call OSHA, 1-800-321-OSHA. Okay, Cindy? Call tomorrow and say, is it a violation that my supervisor is ignoring my doctor's medical work restrictions? Is that a safety violation? So what we're doing is we're saying call OSHA. We're not saying call OSHA and make accusations, right? We're just saying call OSHA and ask questions. Is it a safety violation for my supervisor to ignore my doctor's medical restrictions? Simple as that. If so, they'll do something about it. But you got to ask the question. We need more people calling OSHA asking these questions. Oh, Rhonda, listen, I got good news for you. So Rhonda says, I've had 3 carpal tunnel surgeries and did not know I can do workers' comp. Rhonda, it's probably not too late. You have 3 years from when you knew that your carpal tunnel syndrome was work-related to report the injury. Listen to me. You have 3 years from the point you knew it was work-related, not from the point that the pain started. 3 years from when you knew it was work-related to report the injury. If you do that, and when you get the claim accepted, you can go back and get all of the time back that you lost, all of the money back that you spent, all the travel reimbursed that you used to get there. Seriously, okay? And you can, with carpal tunnel syndrome, get a schedule award. If you've had 3 carpal tunnel surgeries, your schedule award potentially could be massive. That by itself could be worth reporting your injury. So you have 3 years from when you knew it was work-related to report it. Okay? So Rhonda, it's not the end of the world for you. It looks like you're just getting started. Gina says, got a question. I've been sitting at home when there's work that I can be doing at work within my restrictions. The union filled it as a step 2. Will a CA7 pay me for all these days at home? Yes, as long as your claim is approved. I know cases has to be approved. So yes, as long as your claim is approved and your work is preventing you from working within the restrictions and they're sending you home, then you use that as your documentation and you turn that in to DOL and you get paid. File a grievance. Yes, Jeannie, thank you for that. Thanks, Andrew. Hey, what's up, Andrew? Andrew is in our Clearwater, Florida office. And if you want to see a well-oiled machine, go to that office and watch how Andrew runs it. It's a thing of beauty. So Barbara, if I had carpal tunnel and shoulder surgery at the same time, do you have to file 2 separate CA2 or put them on one? It really just depends. But I can't think of any way that a carpal tunnel and a shoulder are related, but also I'm not a doctor. So you'd want to ask your doctor, but assuming they're not related, then you put them on 2 CA2 forms. OSHA, 1-800-321-OSHA. We're just asking questions, folks. That's it. We're not being jerks. We're not calling up being angry. We're not making terrible accusations. We're just saying, hey, is this a violation? Is it a safety violation? Is there anything you can do about it? That's all we're doing. We're just asking questions, okay? Nobody can get mad at you for asking questions. You have protection, by the way. You can't be in trouble for calling OSHA and asking that question. If it turns out your question is legit, you file a complaint, and in a couple of days, they'll come out and investigate. I think it's definitely worth it. And Rhonda, you're welcome. Okay, if you're not excited right now, if you don't lose some sleep tonight, I don't know how to help you because I'd be losing sleep. But let us help you, Rhonda. You probably got an uphill battle, but it's winnable, okay? It's definitely winnable. Jan asked, what happens when an old claim has been denied and now pending? Well, if it was denied, that's simple. You get the denial letter, find out why it was denied, and have the doctor fix it, okay? Write a new narrative report, write an addendum to the old report, address the reason for denial, and send that in. And then you yourself need to select reconsideration on your appeal request form and make sure that your claim examiner gets that. Let's see. Stevie, any great verbiage for filing CA2 on carpal tunnel when they ask you, how do you think this is work-related? All right, so in that case, Stevie, you can go to the doctor first and fill out the CA2 next. So ask the doctor that question. Hey, doc, why is this work-related? Because you're not a medical person. Like, you probably don't know how to answer it any better than I can as a non-medical person. So take a CA2 to the doctor and ask, hey, how do I answer this, doc? You're telling me this is work-related. Can you help me explain it in this small box on this page, how it's work-related? That's what I recommend. If you're not sure, just ask a doctor to help you. Scott, I retire in 2 years. Does having an OWCP claim hold up my retirement? No, but I'm glad you said that, Scott, because don't wait till after retirement. Not for you, okay, because I think you handled it already, Scott. But anybody else, don't wait till after you retire to try to file an OWCP claim because it's going to get denied, and I don't think even I can fix it. You need to request or report your injury prior to retirement, okay? But no, Scott, to answer your question, it's not going to hold up your claim at all. Angel, autoimmune disease, no restrictions whatsoever. My boss tried putting me out on disability without pay 10 days after I bumped my head, filed a grievance in EEO, trying to get back pay for CA-17. He had me fill out hours lost and travel. Thankfully, union brought me back. Yes, I'm glad that you ended with union. That's exactly right. You got to get with your union and have them push back. Don't get pushed around. And, you filed a grievance. That's exactly right. You filed an EEO. That's good work. Everyone's got to be able to start pushing back and protect themselves. And so that's good stuff. Marianne, I submitted my CA7 and 7A, and DOL has not received my paperwork as of today. What should I do next? All right, so check it out, Marianne. When you turn that stuff in to your supervisor or whomever you turn it into, because they got to fill out page 2, you should be getting a copy of the whole thing. So everyone, when you turn anything into management, get a complete copy of everything after they finish filling it out and keep it for yourself. If you had that, you could e-comp it yourself. Go to OWCP e-comp on Google and then upload document, access case and upload document. So, turn in yourself. But also you need to file a grievance like right away, because they have 5 days from when you turn that into management to get that to DOL. 5 work days, so it's not going to include Sundays. But that's the law. They have 5 days to turn that in. So if they didn't turn it in, you've got a serious grievance, okay? And you're going to win because they're preventing you from getting paid. So definitely get on that. And I don't know, talk to your union president or somebody at your union, but you may have a labor charge against them as well, because they're keeping you from getting paid, and you have a right to get paid. That's not fair. Felicia, pulled the muscle last Friday on the route, reported the injury to the supervisor, but told him I didn't want to file a claim. Not healing it as quickly as we thought. Is it too late? No, Felicia, it's not. You already reported your injury. You have 3 years to report it, so you did the report. But this is an example of what not to do. And I'm sorry, Felicia, I'm not making a bad example out of you. But reported the injury, but didn't want to file a claim. Always file a claim. Always, always fill out your CA1 or your CA2. Always, even if you choose not to get medical care. If you choose not to seek out a doctor, if you choose to do nothing else, fill out the form. Have the supervisor fill out the form and get that turned into DOL. Okay, no matter what. But Felicia, no, it's not too late. Just please go back tomorrow and say, I need to fill out a CA1 form today. The other thing is, by not filling out your CA1 form, you're also not requesting a CA16. And that's like a whole other thing. I don't have time to go through it. But a CA16 pays your bills for 60 days. So now, Felicia, you want medical attention, and some doctors won't help you with OWCP unless you have a CA16. So request one. Tell them you want a CA16, okay? Hopefully they'll give you one, because that'll cover your bills. So definitely get it done. It's not too late. And Alice, you can always message us and we'll help you. Ron, I'm familiar with MRSA. Let's see what happened there. Yes, all of those are covered under OWCP. Your doctor is just going to have to explain that as a result of a surgery that was a result of a work injury that you developed this other thing, and they're going to cover it. And I don't know if you can claim MRSA on a schedule award. I don't think there's any place for that. I'm sorry, but your medical doctor will know better than me, but I don't think so. Dawn's been back to work on limited duty after shoulder surgery and been out for a year and a half now. They're considering a second surgery. Does a 2-year thing count if I've been working limited duty? I think you're going to be just fine, Dawn. I wouldn't worry about that. I have copies. We put our paperwork in a box in the cafeteria. That's not my favorite thing I've ever read, Marianne. Veronica, you fax your paperwork to HR, give management a copy. I don't trust my bosses. Amen. Never trust anybody. Get copies of everything and handle it yourself if you have to. Marcia, injured a year ago in May, denied every time so far. Don't give up. You know what? If your doctor is writing bad reports, Marcia, find a new doctor. Let us know where you're located. Maybe we can help you. Felita, great question. She asked, when you do an appeal with OWCP, usually how long does it take to hear back from them? There's no time frame. They don't. Claims examiners don't have to make decisions in any period of time. So you just need to call and be the squeaky wheel as often as you want to call and find out what the heck is going on over there. Wow. So Regina had a shoulder surgery. Rotator cuff was torn so bad they had to repair it with cadaver. It didn't take, so now the doctor says I need a replacement. Any advice for me? So your doctor is going to have to write a great report explaining the situation and then request pre-authorization for the particular surgery they want to do. And the Department of Labor, OWCP, will cover replacements. They do hip and knee replacements all the time. So your doctor just needs to request pre-authorization and explain what happened to the claims examiner. I'm sorry that happened to you. Crystal, I'm a union steward on limited duty and management gives me heck. Join the club. They give me 3 modified assignments that are 100% against my restrictions, grievance. I went back to the doc today and he wrote out a more detailed restriction because evidently they don't understand no repetitive motion. Yeah, no kidding. Believe me, I wouldn't take anything for granted, so good job there. It's easy for me to fight for the carriers, but when I'm fighting for myself, it seems a lot harder. I know, but hey, you got union presidents too. So Crystal, get some help. And you've also got stewards that work alongside of you. Get some help. You know, if they ask you, you would do the same thing. So get help from someone else. Don't shoulder this thing alone. So Marianne, here's another good one. She's got a lot of good stuff tonight. On my original CA1, it was for the elbow and shoulder. However, my doctor focused on my elbow and not my shoulder. Do I have to file again for the shoulder? You absolutely do not. If your shoulder was approved already, you just need pre-authorization by the doctor and get treated. If it wasn't, your doctor needs to write a narrative linking the shoulder to the job. It's definitely not too late. Yes, we only have one doc in Wisconsin. I'm really sorry, Stevie, in Racine. Yeah, so I've been put on anxiety. Can I go see a psychologist? Absolutely, you definitely can. And how would that be filed? Well, it depends. You know, it's a CA1 claim if something happened in a single shift that caused that anxiety. It's a CA2 claim if something happened over 2 or more shifts that caused the anxiety. And the doctor, the psychologist, would need to write a narrative explaining the link between anxiety and the job. We don't have anybody trained near Ohio. I'm really sorry, Gina. Lisa, do you have an email address to send things to? Go ahead and send it to, if you go into Facebook Messenger, you can drop things in there. That's probably the best way to do it. If it doesn't work though, you can send me anything at, it's my first and last name, Chris Helms, Helms, and the letters MBA, like Money Boy Apple, at gmail.com. And I'm happy to look at whatever you sent. Kim, where in Wisconsin is Racine, near Milwaukee? Yeah, it's probably hours away. Listen, Stevie, let me tell you something. This is for everybody. If you find yourself driving hours away to find a doctor, that's a pain, but it's a bigger pain to have a deny claim. So just weigh it out, and you got to decide what's best for you. So that's going to be it for tonight. We went over how to handle denied claims. I hope everyone's got a better grasp on what to do. Choose reconsideration and have your doctor go back and fix it using the denial letter. Closed claims, most claims are closed due to inactivity, so follow your doctor's orders. They're also closed if it doesn't hit the $1,500 mark, but once it does, it'll reopen automatically. CA2A is a notice of recurrence, but it's not always a recurrence. So you need to talk to your doctor and make sure it's not something new. If it's something new, file a new CA1 or CA2. And then we talked about OPM federal disability. I'd like you to avoid it. By year 2, you're only making 40% of your income, and that's not a good deal. You can avoid OPM if you report your injury right away, you get help right away, and you get yourself back to the job in a safe way following the doctor. Then you can avoid disability most of the time. We'd like disability to be a very last resort, as opposed to a resort out of, it's an emergency for you now. Again, I want to end with letting you know that we want you to please follow us, like us, share, let all your coworkers know that we're doing this. We do it every Wednesday night, typically at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and that's 6 Pacific. We do it every Wednesday night. It's a free training for federal employees. We have different topics based on what we're being asked about that week, or based on just things that we're seeing. And we also want you to follow us on Twitter. You must follow me on Twitter. Look into my eyes. Follow me on Twitter @FedInjuryCenter. Just download the Twitter app and go to @FedInjuryCenter and follow it. It's really a big deal. I'm not going to waste your time, but it's super useful. I'm going to put some really great stuff on there, laws, some rules you probably never heard of before, some things nobody's ever going to teach you or train you. And I have good advisors myself, one of which is Al in Florida, and that guy gives me some of the most invaluable information. And when I get something good from him, I share it with you, and I like to share it on Twitter. Follow us at Federal Injury Centers on Facebook and YouTube. And we're putting some training videos on there. And follow us here at Wednesday Night OWCP Chats. So thanks, everybody. For those of you that I didn't get to your questions, Gini and I will be answering these throughout the night. And if anybody's got something that's personal to them, you can send us Facebook messages. We'll be happy to help that way too. So thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you next time. And hopefully soon, Gini and I will be together on this in the same place, because I know it's way more entertaining when she's there. Anyways, have a really great night, and we'll talk to you next time. Good night.